Hey, Scott Hilton's got talks. Going to talk about living in Florida. It is the 7th of October 2025, and it's 8:24 in the morning. Just missed taking a picture of a full moon setting in the daytime in the morning. I was eating my cereal one little night. Another thing to do in Florida. Nice morning, and watch nature everywhere around me. And there's a full moon setting in the west. And I was like, cool. May take a picture of that a little later. Ate my cereal, looked up, it was gone. I was like, I think it's behind the tree, I don't know. I think it just disappeared. It set or some clouds rolled in. But yeah, it's nice. Let's look around. Nice neighborhood. Nice. I'm in the on top of the world area in Ocala, Florida. But all of Florida's nice. It's got its good points and bad points. It's nice being inland and near the center of the state. You're away from the storms more, less chance of big hurricane coming through. It usually downsizes by the time it gets to us, so it's less of a problem. Less flooding here, a lot of dry retention ponds, which is just big areas of land. They dig holes and look like somebody forgot to fill a lake. And the water drains into those. Golf courses are wonderful for that. If you live in a golf course community, you don't have to play golf. Just pretend all those hills are there to run water off of and move around to the dry retention area. So you just hear someone leaving for work or leaving for the store. But yeah, they're just here for moving water around so we can, so we don't get flooding. They have drain pipes in these big ditches, big holes in the ground. I'm going to show you one in a second. And they run from place to place. From other areas that have dry retention areas. So it keeps moving and moving. And see, we got a drain here. And that would run to that big, giant dry retention. See how it is? And there is a drain down there that would move it from place to place. So if the golf course floods a little bit from big heavy rain, and all the greenery soaks up the water as opposed to asphalt that runs it off. I saw an area near Winter Garden, I think, on a video. They described the fact that they had dirt roads to lead back to this nice area was to help with the water coming around and get it to run off and soak in, as opposed to asphalt running it off into the lakes and stuff. And I was like, yeah, but it's still a dirt road. I was like, yeah. So we'll see. Here comes Doggy. We won't talk for a minute. How are you today?
Good.
Hey, puppy. Oh boy, out for the walk. Happy dog.
Oh, he is.
You're so happy.
He's a happy little guy.
You're a happy little guy. Yay! Yay!
He's a little. Any opportunity for pets. Oh,
Whoops.
what did you do, silly boy? Hey.
You sit? Do you sit?
Hey, Harley, sit.
Sit.
Sit. There you
Good
go.
boy. Good boy.
He is.
What a good dog.
Oh, he's a sweetie.
What breed is that? English?
This is a King Charles Cavalier.
King Charles.
Yeah, and they're all like this. This is their temperament. Very,
Cool.
Very good family dog. Just very sweet, very gentle, not an aggressive bone in their body.
There you go. Hey, someone broke in. Hey, a new friend.
Yeah, that's exactly
Like
what he'd be
Labradors,
like,
right?
Oh, hey, a pet, yay!
Yeah. I'm like a little Labrador. I'll let anybody in. Cool. Walk and meet people. Walk instead of get older, get that gray hair. And you better keep moving. Don't stop. And we're out getting the mail, but we're also walking. Probably get a mile or two in. Maybe. Pulling some weeds in my wife's garden. That'll give me something to do, right? I got my shoes, my special shoes. And they look like regular shoes, right? But I got these $15 insoles at the Publix that are nice and thick. They're for work shoes. And I switch those, and what you do is you cut them. Someone else is coming out. What you do is you cut them just barely. You try to match the insole that was in there as best you can, but maybe a touch bigger, just to try it out. Don't look at the bottom where it says what size it is, because if you look at the bottom of these are, oh, another doggy. If you look at the bottom of these, hey, hey pup. It says size 11 or 12 is where I've cut it to. So don't get anxious and just go to if you're a 10 or something like that. And I've got a wide foot, so I try not to edge the sides off at all until I really try it several times. But if I'd cut it down to 10, and my toes would be touching the edges of this thing. So when you're in Florida, you get to walk a lot more because the weather's nice. California's nice, yes, we know that. Parts of Texas, super nice. You know, anywhere in certain parts of the year, spring and fall is perfect. And sometimes summer. But some places get a tough winter. And it gets cold here. I mean, we can get frost in Ocala, technically. And, you know, an Arctic cold blast comes down, people in the Keys will have to layer up, you know what I mean? So, we're doing some yard working maintenance. Cool. Yep. But yeah, here in Florida, it's nice. Huh? We're planning a 3-day weekend trip, 2 nights. We're going to stay from Ocala. If you get the map out, and look, you can find Ormond Beach or Daytona Beach. Ormond Beach is exactly straight across. You know, in 2 hours, we'll be at our hotel. Less than 2 hours, just a touch less. How are you? So, we're just going to spend the weekend. Got a cheap room. We got Hilton Honor Points, so Hampton Inn, Hilton. That was what we were kind of pushing for. We were looking at the other places too. If you look at the map on Google and go straight across, there's a Royal Floridian. That seems to be very nice. Maybe we'll walk into it and check it out for a future visit, but it was a little more expensive. It's like we do for Disney. We go to the Hilton at Disney Springs. It's right there next to it, and get a room that's next to the Disney Springs side, so we can come back from a long day of walking and going to Disney and get up the elevator. Don't matter what floor you're on, because you just push a button and you go to it. And you're in your room pretty quick. But the other side of the hotel just kind of goes like from corner and then up. Let's say corner, up, and down. And the down is where you take they have complimentary buses. They can take you to all the Disney parks. So you do that. So we like to be on the Disney Springs side, because after a long walk around Disney Springs, we're ready to get back to the room. You know, I'll walk to get to the bus. And after sitting down on the bus for a while, I'm good to walk back to the hotel room. But yeah, you can book and it'll ask you what area you're looking for a room. You know, we always push it to that one side. But this is, we're staying at the Sparks by Hilton, and it doesn't look like the greatest place in the world. You know, like they're all 3-star hotels, the ones we were looking at. And I was like, that's cool. And we just need a place to stay, because we're going to go check out Ormond Beach. We're going to walk on the beach. And they got like red sand. It's something mineral stuff that gets in the sand, but gives it a reddish glow. It makes it for interesting water glistening at the right time of day. So that'll be neat. Check that out. And it's just down the street from here. It's north of Daytona. So all the main stuff to see is in Daytona, pretty much. And we're big Jimmy Buffett fans, so they got that Margaritaville Town Center, and we want to go check that out. And there's the John D. Rockefeller house is there in Ormond. That's where he actually died, in that house. But we want to go check that out. because we did the Hemingway house in Key West, and that was cool. Saw the six-toed cats. But yeah, we've got cruise ports all over the place in Florida. You can cruise out of Tampa, take a quick trip if you want to take a short cruise. My wife's not big on the real short cruises, but I told her, I said, you know, we're getting to that age where a short cruise may not be too bad, you know, because all the meals are paid for, technically. You just get down to Tampa, or you get to Port Canaveral, and that's straight across in two different directions almost. A little down for Tampa, a little further for Tampa, but that's okay. There are technically cruise ports in Miami and Jacksonville and one or two more, I think. There are. I know there are. They have a Bright Line train that could takes a long while to get there because they're like a bus. They got to stop and pick up more people and, you know, do their thing. But you know, it's supposed to be high speed, but you know, there's certain areas they can't play high speed. And it's not Japanese train high speed. It's not that kind of high speed, but it's cool. It looks clean. It looks inviting. They got like a first class area where the seats are a little bigger, and you know, it looks kind of neat. It looks like it's something you want to try one time when you're down in Florida. And it goes all the way to the Orlando Airport, so you can go. And there's talk of taking it to Tampa. There's talk of taking it to Jacksonville, and a lot of people like it. So in Florida, you know, I want to see the Space Coast. I haven't seen that since I was a kid. I saw Apollo 11 launch when I was a little kid. It looked like it was this big. It was just like a little. We were real far away. But I was just a little guy, and we saw that take off. Our uncle had lived in Largo, Florida, and we drove all the way across. It was like a hurricane or something. It was bad. But then the next day it was fine, and the launch was approved, and yeah, so we got to see that when we were little. And I always liked Florida. I like going to Disney, and Disney Springs is like free Disney. You know, they've got several Disney shops, but they have shops from everywhere around the world, and great restaurants. We love the Boathouse. Wine Bar George is really good. If you got a sweet tooth, there's Gideon's. Cookies are amazing. They always have a line, always a line at the Lego store, pretty much. You just see, you know, it's just amazing, some of the stuff they've got there. They have stores from different companies, like Coca-Cola has a store, and you can get merch, you can get specialty drinks, all sorts of stuff. And so it's a great place to shop, a great place to visit, and it's Disney related. There's a Disney store. They've got a statue of Stitch on top of the World of Disney store on one end, and keep an eye out on Stitch, because he's sitting there kind of arms spread out, and he's smiling, and he starts spitting water at people from way up high on the top of the store, because he's a bad boy. And you can see the puddle where it hits, so people will be like looking around like, was that rain? Was that water? And you know, about 30 seconds later or a minute later, you know, you get into a little so the kids figure it out quick, and they all stand there on purpose so they can get hit. They think it's wonderful. And it's Florida. You know, if you get a little drizzle, a little rain, you check your weather channel and it says no rain till 4, and it's noon and all of a sudden it drizzles. That's Florida, okay? That's why you don't pay big bucks for the Weather Channel, because those premium services, all those weather services, you're like in Florida going, hey, and the mountains are the same way, and San Francisco is the same way. Different places are the same way, where it's hard to predict what's going to happen next because it changes so much. And getting like a 14-day forecast when you can't even get it an hour right, it's crazy. But yeah, it's really super nice here. Got a plane flying overhead. Where you going, plane? Go. Hello. Everyone's friendly. And we're far enough away from the chaos. We're not in the villages. The villages are, I imagine they're like this, you know, just a neighborhood is a neighborhood. But you get closer to their downtown, there's more party atmosphere. And we've had a live band before and go and sat there. took our lawn chairs and sat and parked kind of in the back area of Circle Square Commons. And it was neat. We had a good time. Had food trucks there, and everyone had a good time. Because Circle Square Commons is not like one of those giant neighborhood things of the villages, but it does have an ice cream and a coffee shop. So there's that. And but the food trucks were great. They're a great variety they had there. And yeah, you live in Florida, you get better weather until the storms hit. That's why condos are a no-no in Florida after they had one collapse. That now they require all the condo owners to make sure their condos are serviced and well maintained, which costs a ton of money. And a lot of condo people are getting out. They're like, I'm not paying all this money. My condo was supposed to be, paid for, done, some maintenance paid for, but now I've got to pay for this inspections and big maintenance fees for anything, little cracks and things they find way up high, and they're like, ugh. And it's just too much. So avoid the condo thing. Get in a neighborhood, nice. As you get older, one floor is good. Climbing stairs becomes more difficult when you get older. I'm not quite there yet, but I can feel it. Where I tripped on a rug. My wife's like, what are you doing? I'm like, what? Hey, that rug came out and bit me. Pick up your feet. And you do. You kind of, every once in a while you drag. And that's why you go out and walk every day. Get the heel and toe going, push. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to walk at a faster pace. That's the healthy thing. When you go to the grocery store, and I can't get my wife to do this, of course, but go to the grocery store. See, there's another driver's attention area. There's one on the bike. Nice. Go ride my bike later after I pull weeds, right? Got my long sleeve shirt on so I don't get too much sun on the arms. Put a sunblock on my neck. So, yeah. Just a nice walk, nice to be. It's near Disney, but we still, even though some people here in Ocala will drive to Disney, do their Disney day, and drive back. That's great. But we kind of like, if you're tired from walking and doing all that stuff, or maybe we'll do a Disney day, but then we'll come back to Disney Springs and the room and do a change or something and go eat at the Boathouse, or go eat at one of the Italian restaurants there. I can't remember the name of the place, but it was nice. It was there at Disney Springs. And different restaurants like that. You can see videos all over the internet about Disney Springs and the restaurants and things to do. But it's you're just free. You walk down there from the hotel, over a little bridge over the interstate, and boom, you're there. And you just enjoy the day. Seeing the stores, all that stuff. That Uniquelo, UNIQLO maybe? Our daughter loves the store, and we always check it out. We got to see the store in Japan. It was really tall. I mean, this store is tall, but the one in Japan was like skinny tall, like 12, 13 floors to get to the cool t-shirts. I was like, because everything in Japan's smaller. The roads are a little tighter. They build buses kind of skinny, and the crosswalks are very, what are they? Oh, when they have signals. A lot of times they have beeps, beep, 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 bing, bing, or whatever. And everyone knows it's time to cross. All the lights turn red for the cars and truck. And everyone crosses at once. So it's like a big X pattern or squares. Everyone's crossing. And it has little countdown flashes. And it tells you how much time you got left until it's getting ready to change again. And it gives you audible warnings about that. But it's a great system. They do everything so smart in Japan. That's what was so impressive. Everything was thought out pretty much. Except for when we went to one temple and they had these bathrooms off to the side in glass windows. And when the lights are on the glass windows, you can see in like it's clear as TV at nighttime. There are the urinals lined up, and all the guys go to the bathroom, and there's the glass windows. And I was like, well, this is not thought out at all. This is awkward. And I was like, oh dear. So I was like, that's just crazy. But everything else, you know, the little restaurants, they have tiny little restaurants some places, but they have excellent food, and everyone's very quiet when you eat. There's not a lot of, you don't yell and say stuff out loud. Everyone's super respectful. It's like New York City, kind of busy with an underground. Oh my gosh, they got great underground. You go down the subway area, McDonald's, Starbucks, stores, walk forever underground to get from one place to another, and come up on the surface and take a bus. You know, you can go to the train, take stuff like that. We took a bullet train to Kyoto, and that was cool. Kyoto was a neat little city. So yeah, everyone was super duper respectful, and they all had those toilets, nice toilets. They had the water that squirts out from under the bottom, duvets or whatever they're called. They all had that, even in, you know, at the airports and different places where you'd find, you know, just kind of a bathroom way back in the corner. There it was. I was like, wow, man, this is cool. Got used to that. I was like, hey, why don't we have this? And a lot of the bathrooms had full doors that would close all the way to the bottom, and I was like, well, that's interesting. What if someone locks themselves in there? What if they go crazy or something? Oh, man. So, but yeah, Florida's nice. You get your close. You know, we enjoy the park. We like, you know, I'm back. Yeah, had a message that I'd split-paced my walk. 24 minutes, 1 mile. Huh, gotta keep it up. So, yeah, it was neat. You know, big doors in Japan and stuff, but we go to stay at the Hilton to relax, take it easy. If you get tired, just relax, go back to the hotel room, get tired of walking, and that's cool. But it's only like 2 hours to get there, and 2 hours to the coast, 2 hours to the other coast. You know, we can get to Clearwater Beach on the Tampa side quick. We can get to Disney quick. You know, you're kind of in the middle without the expensive, incredible housing costs that it is for anything near Orlando. Like Claremont, Winter Garden, Winter Park. You know, the cost of living in those places. And you're looking at the map like, well, that's pretty close to Disney. How much is that house? And you're looking at one development that's the exact same house in Ocala, and you're near the Disney area, looking at the same, they're building houses there too, and it's the same house because you've seen it in Ocala in the same builder, and boom, it's a ton more money, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, what's this? And you know, the joke is you're near Disney. Land's more valuable. Everyone wants to be here. And you're like, jeez. So that's the deal. That's why we chose Ocala. You know, it doesn't get hit hard by the storms. It's nice weather. Technically can get a little frosty. It does get a little nippy sometimes in January, February, December, you know, that kind of year. But after the spring hits, it's, you know, it's super nice. Before spring, it's super nice. You know, you go for walks and stuff. You layer up when it's cold for a month and, you know, do other things. And they say if you want a vacation, do it at the Caribbean during the winter, because you just drive 2 hours, and usually in the afternoons it's in the 70s anyway, or 68 or something, even in the coldest months. Usually it does climb unless there's, you know, a band of cold weather in the area. But yeah, you know, you layer it up, you probably take that fleece off and walk home. You go, hey, it's nice. You just pace yourself. You don't start like in the summer. You start like anywhere. It's going to be hot later. You start early and go for a walk or go for a bike ride or go to the store and do your thing. And winter in Florida, you can sleep in and go a little later. That's the deal. So, and it's nice. I tried not to get too much sun. My daughter gave me a hard time. My knees were getting brown. And she's like, Dad, you're ruining your skin. And I keep spraying it with the spray sunblock on it. But see, I wear the long sleeve shirt for doing the gardening and weed pulling and stuff for my wife. But when I'm through and I'm bike riding, I usually have short sleeves on. So there's that. But yeah, but I enjoy it. I enjoy living here. It's nice. You know, they're like, oh, there's no state income or no state tax. I say, yeah, well, you know, but if you go to a restaurant, you're still tipping, you're still paying a decent amount for stuff. But we have choices of, like here on top of the world, you have choices of Publix. You got about 3 Publix nearby. You got an Aldi nearby, and you've got a Walmart Marketplace nearby. So Walmart Marketplace gives you a better deal on stuff, but there are a couple items that only Publix has because they have more of a range. So you just kind of, when I ride my bike, I like to pick stuff up occasionally and pick up some groceries. Now I'll go to the Walmart Marketplace. There's a type of bread my wife loves at the Aldi, and there's some cheap things at Aldi I can get. But if you get a name brand at Aldi, I've noticed they're about the same as the name brand at Walmart Marketplace. But if you get a generic brand, then it can be cheaper. So it all depends. You get used to buying certain things and at certain places, and you try to avoid the trap of going to Publix every time. You know, it's just easier to go to Publix and get it all. Yeah, I know that. So we try to avoid that. Save a little money for a little trip to the beach and see how that goes, walking in the red sand. How are you? Good. Thanks, good. Cool. This is World Adventure. All these houses behind me on the cul-de-sac are for people that want to try out on top of the world and stay for the weekend, do a weekend here and try it out and see if they like it. I think I touched the screen and pushed the button and turned it on. But yeah, those houses are for people who want to stay and check out on top of the world. And they do the same thing in the villages. And we just are a little more calmer neighborhood, I think, than a lot of people wanted to get away from the craziness of the villages. And I imagine the villages has neighborhoods like this where there's nothing going on. They're not near one of those big neighborhood things, because it's technically 83 miles across all those places. And they've only got 3 or 4 of those big neighborhood shopping areas that are expensive anyway. But they're expensive burgers and expensive coffees when you could go to a real store and shop and get a burger or something like that. And my advice was always, if you live in the villages, be pretty close to the real world. You don't want to be near the traffic or in the interstate. They showed us a place when we were there, right near an interstate. I was like, what is that noise? And I'm looking at Google Maps, and there's that line for an interstate. And I was like, are we near an interstate? And I turned around and looked, and there it was. I was like, whoa, here comes the trash man. Yeah, we're gonna have some noise now. How you doing? All right, they're picking up the trash. We like that. In the neighborhood, part of HOA is the trash. We have a debris day pickup and a recycle day pickup. So that's nice. We'll do all that. And our neighborhood is Wayborn Landing, which has a lower HOA than most of the other neighborhoods on top of the world. So that's something to consider too. If you want to CDD, CCD, something like that. Are those, that's something you have to look for when you're looking at houses in neighborhoods. And this is a 55 plus community. So it's quiet. It doesn't have kids running around. They're allowed to visit for 2 weeks and then they're supposed to leave. That's supposedly the deal. I don't think anyone would rat them out, but you never know. Hello. You're just in time. They just got here. Yeah, they just pulled in and started dumping trash. I was like, when I started walking, I was like, oh, they haven't picked up yet. that's cool. I don't mind them being late. And I always pick the mail up in the morning because I bugged the mail person. I didn't bug her, but I just showed up, and she had to close all. We have a community boxes, and they're not a lot, and it's not far off from the house. That's another thing to look for. In the villages, I saw a video of people going with their golf cart to get the mail, and they were driving, and they were going to go to the grocery store too. And I was like, I hope you have a cooler for any cold stuff, because they were shopping when they showed in the grocery store. They shop for cold stuff, and I was like, man, you were driving a while to get to the grocery store. But I'm sure they did. They had a cooler. They didn't really show them going home with the stuff, but they had a pretty good load. And golf carts are neat for that, especially the villages. The village is really customized for that golf cart lifestyle. We've got it here up to 200, and then it stops. It can go a little to the side, left and right, but other than that, how you doing? You doing all right? The trash people are coming. You may want to put it out. Well-maintained lawn. But yeah, it's. I hear the birds chirping. People. The villages looked all right to me. I mean, it was another neighborhood. It was not bad, and I just, would have to handpick the place so I could get to a Walmart or a Publix or some kind of place to shop rather closely. My wife remembers her uncle's place at the first town square at the villages, with the Spanish one, the nice one, and he was like 20 roundabouts to get through, to get out of that place. And she would go visit him and said, I had to go through 20 roundabouts to get to his house. And it drove me crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because they love their roundabouts there. And we've got one or two here. But yeah, but if it's too far, if you're used to it, or if you like it, you like the roundabouts because it's kind of a way to do it without actually having to stop unless you have to stop. And you understand the concept of the roundabout and how to use it correctly. Watch a YouTube video, right? But, it depends on you. I've been in neighborhoods where it took a while to get out of the neighborhood and get into the real world. But, if you're used to it, it's only a mile, and it's not a big deal to you, then that's fine. It depends on you. You just go out to the real world and do your shopping. Everything else can get Amazoned in. Hello. That's the phone company I use, Mike Scott. So, all right, that was the last cutoff. I just had double alarms right when Mike Scott Plumbing is the plumber I use here in town. Suncool is our air conditioning here in this area. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up now that I'm on a roll. So it's nice here. It's nice. The villages, I'm sure, has its points, and it's nice too. But a lot of people got away from the craziness, and we were looking at areas that were not going to be built up too much anytime soon. And we were like, oh, they're just beginning to build out here, way out in the world of nowhere. But it was further south, so it would have been closer to Disney. It would have had that advantage. Probably an hour and a half to Disney or so. From where we were looking. We were so far south. I was like, well, you had to drive and drive. But yeah, either one is fine. You check them out, you do a weekend, check it out and see, where's your house going to be, what kind of house, what your neighbors are like, different things. What are the HOA rules that you want to deal with? That's another thing. They're just trying to make your neighborhood look nice, okay? See, it looks nice. Nobody's painted their house green and purple. All right? Or, got more noise coming. But I'm gonna wrap up. And yeah, they're mowing. I'm gonna wrap up. If you're thinking about Florida, the coast is nice, but it gets a lot of storms, and they've had a lot of wreckage and problems, and insurance is going up, and the insurance is still rather tolerable here. So check that out. The center of the state's not that bad. It does get hot, but we get a lot of breeze here in Ocala that I've noticed. Look at this flag blowing. It's nice. Having a breeze is nice, and I think it's because we're in between both oceans that we get the west and easterly breezes fighting each other. And we almost always seem to have, they talk about the high humidity in Ocala, and it can be, but it seems to always be a nice breeze. It's amazing. So like, share, and subscribe if you learned anything. And you're thinking about moving to Ocala, check it out. Go online, check out some videos.